Like I said, get one of those downloaded. But for the first part, for these slides, you guys are just kind of follow along. Grab your calculator because I'm gonna need some help from you guys. But we're gonna talk about specifically outliers and how to calculate outliers. And up to this point, you guys, we've been talking about outliers and outliers being numbers or part of our data that's super far extreme from one side to the other from the rest of our data. And you kind of had to just eyeball it and just be like, yeah, that's an outlier, right? Now, on this last part of this section of the unit, I'm going to show you that there's a statistical way to tell if a piece of data is an outlier. Give me you guys' attention for like 10, 15 minutes to get through these slides. And then the rest of the time, if you want to work on your own, you can work on your own. But we'll do some of this assignment together. So when we're identifying outliers, there's two small formulas that we need to use in order to figure out if a piece of data is an actual outlier. And we can find out if an outlier if it's below Q1 minus 1.5 times the IQR, or if it's above Q3 plus 1.5 times the IQR. What does IQR stand for? Anybody remember from last week? Interquartile range. And you find IQR by subtracting Q3 minus Q1. Okay, it's super, super easy to do. When if you did the first half of the 6.3 homework that I left for you guys on Thursday when I wasn't here and watched that video, it actually explains how to do this in that video. So that was just something I wanted you to watch before we got to today. And so I'm going to show you how this works. First, by bringing back an example that we did last time we were in class, which was almost a week ago. Have you caught up on your stuff, Alyssa? Oh, wow. You're going to be a little behind. These numbers that I have here are Roger Maris's home runs by year. Christian, who's a baseball player, doesn't even know who Roger Maris is. But I was put it in sequential order here. And last week I showed you guys how to find the 5-number summary. And the 5-number summary includes the minimum number, the maximum number, the median, Q1, and Q3. And in order to tell if one of these numbers is an outlier, I'm about to use those formulas here and show you guys how that works. We had already figured these 5 numbers out last time. The 5-number summary, we already did that. I'm not going to make you do that again. But notice how, hey, that 61 home runs, that was kind of like a oddball year for him. The next closest best season that he had was 39 home runs. So is 61 truly considered an outlier or not? And I'm going to show you how that works statistically. If I wanted to find the first thing I need to do is I need to find the interquartile range, the IQR. And so I subtract Q3 minus Q1. Somebody do that in a calculator real quick for me. What's Q3 minus Q1? 19. So the interquartile range is 19. Easy, right? To determine if that 61 is an outlier, I need to find a lower boundary and an upper boundary. And what I mean is, the lower boundary is that Q1 minus 1.5 times the IQR. What is Q1? 14. And the IQR we know is 19. So we're literally just going to plug these two numbers in. 14 plugs in for Q1, 19 plugs in for IQR. Calculate that for me real quick. Just type it into the calculator. 14 minus 1.5 times 19. Just practice type it in so you get a feel of what we're trying to do. Negative 14.5. So if there's any number less than negative 14.5, it has to be an outlier. Obviously, did he hit any negative home runs? No, maybe Christian did, but what is that considered? A strikeout? Just kidding. So obviously there's no outliers on the low side. Let's try, we have to find an upper boundary too, okay? The upper boundary is this formula, Q3 plus 1.5 times the IQR. We know that Q3 is 33, and we know the IQR is 19. So type this calculation into your calculator and tell me what you get. 61.5?
Yeah. 33 plus 1.5. Yeah.
Is it 61.5?
Yep.
Okay. Sorry, you're right. I don't know what I was thinking in my head. Okay. So 61.5. If there's any numbers above 61.5, then they're also considered outliers. So is that 61 going to be considered an outlier? No. Statistically, since 61 is neither below negative 14.5 or above 61.5, it is not going to be an outlier. So even though it does seem like it, hey, it's pretty far out there, statistically, it's not an outlier. Okay, it's not an outlier. And this is how we determine whether or not something's an outlier or not. And that's exactly what you're going to do on your assignment today. So I have one more example, and I'm going to show you how to make a box plot, a modified box plot off of that. We did some of that last week. How many Cowboy fans are in here? You're a Cowboy fan? At least you like the Astros, so that's okay. You get a pass. Who's your baseball team? Astros or Rangers? Oh, you get a double negative on that one. Rangers and the Cowboys? Come on, man. You like losers? It's a good comeback. All right. Here are the 10 offensive linemen from the 2009 rosters, how much they weighed. Okay, there's some big boys here. What we're going to do is I'm going to show you guys in the calculator. We're not going to do this by hand. I'm going to show you guys in the calculator how to calculate the 5-number summary using that either the Calculate 84 app or the TI-84 calculator that you have in front of you. So if you have an Android and you download that WabbitEmu, it's just like the TI-84. So you can use either one of these. And I have this pulled up here so you guys can see. Is this showing? There's the calculator. All right. First and foremost, do this with your calculator. Those of you that are in class here. Let's reset it. So second plus sign 712. That way, whatever was done previously will be cleared out. So here's what you're going to do to enter in the data. Press the button that says Stat. It's right there next to the number pad, the directional pad. So press Stat. And on the very first one where it says Edit, hit 1 or Enter. Okay, so it looks like this. You got to keep up. So Stat and then Edit. So Stat Edit. So we're all on the screen. Okay, I'm going to type this in with you guys. What you're going to do is hit one number at a time and hit Enter until you enter all 8 of those numbers. Or 10 of those numbers, I'm sorry. It doesn't matter what order. I'll just put them in the order that they're written down. You got to be really careful you type them in correctly, because if you don't type them in, if you miss even one number, you're going to be off of everything. Okay. Those of you guys that are at home, if you don't like to download the app, I have a, let me see, I think I have it saved here. You can also go to this website. Yeah, it works. I just put it in the chat for you guys. And you can also type the numbers in there to get the 5-number summary. So you can either download that app that I told you guys at the beginning, or go to that website I just put into the chat to do the same exact thing. You'll just type in the numbers to get the 5-number summary. Okay, you guys ready for the next part? You ready, Christian? All right, you're going to press the Stat button again. And then you're going to scroll over to where it says Calc to the right. And even if you're using the app at home, it has the same thing, but it has less options right here. But you're just going to choose the one option that says one variable stats. Okay, one variable stats. The very first one. You're going to press so Stat and then Calc. And then you just hit Enter until you go down to Calculate and hit Enter while on Calculate. I'll do that one more time for those of you that, if you press Stat, you scroll over to Calc, go to one variable stats, the very first one, just hit Enter on it, And you can hit enter here until you calculate it. There's a bunch of information it gives you right here. The very first one's one you might use in the future. That's the mean, the average, 321.2. That means 321.2 pounds was the average there. But just scroll all the way to the bottom. That's where we want to get our information. Scroll to the bottom there, and you see, hey, look, minimum, Q1, median, Q3, maximum. All the information that we're going to need for this assignment. You're not writing any of this down yet. I'll just show you here. And does this match up with what I have up on the screen? It sure does. So the minimum 307, the Q1 311, and so on. Do you guys have the same numbers in your calculator? Everybody does, yes? That means you did it right. Okay. So we know how to have the 5-number summary from the calculator now. You don't need to do it by hand. On this assignment, use the calculator. That way you don't have to put it in order from least to greatest and do it all by hand like we did last week. Okay, we're not going to do it by hand. Or use that website that I put into the chat for you guys. All right. It's also on your assignment, the link again, in case you lose the link. All right. Help me figure out the IQR. Somebody figure out the IQR for me. What's the IQR? I want to see if there's any outliers. See if any of these guys are outliers. How do I find the IQR again if you don't know what to do? Q3 minus Q1. So Q3 minus Q1. $15? $15? All right. So are there any outliers? Let's find out. We got to find the IQR first. And you're right, it is 15. Show them my work. So you see where we get that information from. Let's see, I'm going to keep it always in front. Let's find the lower boundary. Okay, find the lower boundary for me, and I'll put the formula up there again since you probably haven't memorized it. Q1 minus 1.5 times the IQR. So plug those numbers in. You have Q1 right there, and you have the IQR right here. So plug it in and figure out what the lower boundary is. Just put it into your calculator. 288.5. 288.5. Second confirmation from that. 88.5. Okay, good. So there's what I plugged in, and you guys are both right, 288.5. Is there any number lower than 288.5? No. So there's no outliers on the low end, but we got to find the upper end too. So let's find the upper boundary. Here's the formula for the upper boundary. See if there's find the upper boundary first, and then we'll see if there's any outliers. 348. So there's a setup that I use. I plug in 326 and then the 15 for the IQR, and you guys 348.5. Is there any numbers bigger than 348.5? There is. Okay. And so this time, what number is bigger than 348.5? 353. So whoever weighs 353, that dude is the outlier. Okay. Statistically, he's an outlier from the rest of the 10 offensive linemen. So we proved it right here, and we know that 353 is an outlier. Okay. This is what we're going to practice today. Last slide. I'm going to show you guys how to actually make a box plot with these outliers. Box plots with outliers are actually called modified box plots because they show the different outliers that are there. And you guys have some graphs in front of you on the pages 2 through 4. And we're going to actually practice making some box plots today. Okay. I've labeled the x-axis here, put a label on it. Got my increments down. The first hash mark, which number does this relate to? The very first hash mark on the box plot. The minimum Q1, median Q3, maximum. That's the minimum. And then I put in my Q1 hash mark. I put my median hash mark. I put my Q3 hash mark. But then I put a hash mark at the next highest value that's not my outlier. Okay, my outlier is actually going to be a little star or dot out here on the outside. We're going to practice this in a minute all together. This is the outlier. And so my end of my whiskers end up being actually the last number that's not an outlier. Or on the flip side of that, it's either it's the first number that's not an outlier. And this is how you make a modified box plot. If I made a box plot that did not show the outlier, then what it would look like is this would just extend all the way like this, and I would have it look like that. Okay. But when I show the outliers on it, it's called a modified box plot. So this is what we're going to practice today. And that's it. What I want to do is with you guys is let's practice this together. If you guys at home get a second, try to print this out if you have a printer. If you don't have a printer, then just answer the questions in your journal, or if you have a piece of graph paper, that's probably the easiest. Okay, so this is for you people at home. You people here have this already printed out for you guys. The first couple, most everything is going to be super easy to do on just your own paper, with the exception of this. So when you get to a problem where you have to draw the box plot, you'll just have to label something out like this on your paper at home. But if you have a printer, I would take a minute to go print this out right now. If not, you'll just write your answers down in your journal like you always do. And you can do it like that. Okay. You want me to give you guys like a minute to go print it out if you have a printer? Until then, we'll do all this together. We'll do at least this page together. This page and the next page. This is not due until Friday, but you guys have today and Wednesday to work on it. But don't forget, you're also going to have a quiz that opens up on Wednesday. Make sure you finish all your homework before the quiz. Now I'll talk to you after about the retest after we're all done here. Okay. Go ahead and answer number 1 on your paper. And those of you that, again, that if you don't have the app downloaded, you can open up this link in the assignment. It brings you to this website right here. And what this website does is find the 5-number summary for you. Let's see if it gets loaded here. You just put in numbers one at a time, hit enter, one at a time, hit enter, just like you would do if you had the calculator, and you press calculate, and it gives you that 5-number summary as well. So there's another option for you if you're at home and you don't have a calculator or you didn't download that app. How many of you downloaded that iPhone app? Open it up. It looks just like the calculator, doesn't it? And those features are in there. So that's all we need for this unit. You'll have those. That calculator is pretty good. Okay. All right. What's the answer to number 1? We'll just do it all together. What's a box plot constructed with outliers called? You already forgot or what? You already forgot? I just had it up. Box plot constructed with outliers. What's it called? Modified box plot. Modified box plot. The reason I'm having you answer that question first is because the questions on the remainder of the assignment is going to ask you to make modified box plots. I want you to know that's the one with outliers. Let's just do number 2 together. You guys can come back and do 3 on your own. Number 2 is asking you to fill out the table. just practice finding the 5-number summary, interquartile range, and any outliers. So let's go back to this calculator for those of you that are here in class or you have that app downloaded. Stat, press stat, hit enter on edit. I'm going to show you a quick way to clear everything out. If you highlight that, if you go up and highlight where it says L1 and hit clear and then enter, it'll clear everything out. You don't have to delete them one by one. You with me, Christian? Okay. Start entering in this data right there in there. I'm going to do it with you guys. Don't go too fast for you. If you remember what to do, go back, do it again. In about 30 seconds, I'll show the steps up here again. And once you type in the numbers, you're going to go to stat, calc, one variable stats, that very first one, and go down to calculate. For the people on the app, it's just you just hit enter on this screen and it pops up the 5-number summary right off the bat. So down there at the bottom, are these the numbers that you guys got? Minimum 32, Q1 41.5, median 66. Move this out of the way. Q3 73 and maximum 102. What doesn't work, Nyla? On the Calculate 84 app? Did you press when you went to the? Did you put the data into the calculator first? You went to stat and then edit first, and then you went stat, then calc, and then one variable stats. Once you go there, you press enter. It should pop up. Thanks, Mia. See if that works. If not, then use that website. The website's just as good too. It'll tell you the 5-number summary. Did that work, Nyla? What Mia said? Okay, awesome. She said it worked, Mia. Thanks, Mia. Okay, it says show your work. So let's just show your work for getting the IQR. What do I do here? 73 minus what?
Minus Q1, 41.5.
41.5. What is that?
31.5.
31.5? Okay. So let's find any outliers. We got to find our upper and lower boundaries again. So I'm going to move the calculator out of the way. I don't really need that right now. Let's find the lower boundary first. If you don't remember the formula, this is a good time to write it down on your paper so that you have it for the rest of this paper. I saw a couple of you writing it down earlier. Q1 minus 1.5 times the IQR. So there's the formula for the lower boundary. I'll go ahead and write the formula for the upper boundary too. Q3 plus 1.5 times the IQR. Figure out what those two numbers are. Figure out what the two boundaries are. We have to figure out what those are before we can figure out if there is any outliers. See, Q1 is 41.5. That's 1.5 times 31.5. I'll let you guys figure that out. Figure out what those two numbers are. What's the lower boundary? Anybody get it yet?
Negative 5.75.
Negative 5.75. Anybody else get that?
Negative 5.75.
Okay. All right. Two people got it. Then good. Negative 5.75 is the lower boundary. Obviously, there's no negative numbers there, so there's no outliers on the low end. But what about the high end? What did you get for the high end? I got here 120.25. Anybody else? Okay. Are there any numbers higher than 120.25? No. So what are we going to say on this one?
No.
No outliers. Yeah, none. So write it in there. Write that there are no outliers. Okay. It says if there's none, say so. There's no outliers. It doesn't mean that everything's not going to have outliers. If there are outliers, say which numbers are outliers after you prove the upper and lower and upper boundaries. Okay. Not too hard, right? Not too hard. You guys want a second to do the next one? So I'm not gonna do 3 with you guys. I want to do page number 2 with you, and then let you guys work on the rest of it on your own. Okay. Can we skip 3 and just go to the page number 2 so we can get that out of the way, and then I'll let you guys work the rest of the time? So that fine? Okay. Let's go to page 2, which is starting on number 4, because I'm gonna work one of these with you guys, especially with it drawing one on for your first time. All right, take a minute to try to find the 5-number summary. There's 12 scores of the women's golf team. So you'll need to go to stat and edit and clear this out so you can put in new numbers. So put in the new numbers. I think you can find 4, 5, 6 together or on your own, but I'll stay behind you, a step behind you, see if you can stay a step ahead, and then look up on the screen and check your work. Try to stay a step ahead of me if you're doing it right. See if you can get that 5-number summary on your own. Y'all didn't do this last year in Algebra 2, right? You didn't get to it. They would have done some number crunching towards the end of the year, but COVID got the best of it. So here's the 5-number summary that I got. See if you got the same thing. Uh-oh. My pen stopped working. Nine 84.5, 88.5, 93, and 111. Did you guys get the same 5-number summary? Okay, good. How do you remember how to find the range?
Biggest balance.
Yeah, biggest minus smallest, so maximum minus minimum. You can go ahead and write it in there so you remember. 111 minus 79. It says show your work, so make sure you show you. It's just very little work to show right there. What's 111 minus 79? 32. So there's the range. You guys know how to find IQR already. Q3 minus Q1. What is that? 93 minus 84.5. What is that? 8.5. Thank you. And again, here we're practicing. Is there any outliers? Let's statistically find out if there's any outliers. We need to find our lower boundary first. Q1 minus 1.5 times the IQR. And I mean, if you memorize the formulas, you don't need to keep writing it over and over. I wrote it down the first time, and I'm going to write it down again here just so you know where I'm getting that information from. But just show your work. If you just want to plug it straight into the formula, plug it straight into the formula. Q1 is 84.5, and the IQR we got was 8.5. So that's what you'll type into the calculator to figure out what the lower boundary is. What'd you get? For the lower, yeah.
71.75.
71.75. Somebody else get that too? Yeah. Okay. All right. Find the upper one now. The upper boundary. Here's the formula in case you forgot. Q3 plus the IQR. Somebody giving me this answer. 105.75. Good. Thanks, Jimmy. All right. So this is just our boundaries. We need to make sure we answer the question. The question says, are there any outliers? Is there any number below 71.75? No. I mean, the minimum we already know is 79. So there's none of them lower than that. But are there any numbers above 105.75? Yeah, there is. How many numbers are above 105.75? Two of them. Both of these numbers right here are above that upper boundary. So there are two outliers. I'm going to write this out off to the side. Two outliers, 108 and 111. Those are both outliers. We proved that by finding that boundary. Okay, I'm going to just box that in so I have that there. Okay, so there's two outliers this time. Now, the reason I have question number 8 in there is because 8's going to help us draw that modified box plot. What's the highest score that's not an outlier out of the rest of these numbers? 95. Okay, that's actually going to be our high whisker now on the box plot, because these outliers are going to be little dots or stars on our modified box plot. Okay, so I'm going to show you how this works. Can I clear this out for everybody so I can scroll down and show you how to draw the box plot? Anybody at home need this any longer? Going once, going twice. Okay. Now I'm going to leave my calculator up here so that I can pull that 5-number summary again. Put my calculator back up. And I'm going to use that 5-number summary here. I'm just going to push it all the way up to the side. Okay. What was that again? It was 95 was the highest one, right? Okay. So here's what we're going to do. Take a look at our minimum. Our minimum is 79. That's going to be our first hash mark. Be careful the way this is tabulated, because if this is 78 and this is 82, what number is right here? Right in the middle. This is 80, right? So just be careful. And if this is 82 and this is 86, this is 84. So 79 is halfway in between 78 and 80, right? So let's make our first hash mark at 79. Doesn't matter how high or low we go. I'll just do it right here. Here's my first end of the whisker, 79. That's my minimum. Go back to your, so that was 79. Go back to your Q1, 84.5. So 84.5 will be a little bit past the 84. We'll do it like right here. I want to make this hash a little bit bigger because that's going to be the beginning of my box. That's Q1. 88.5 is, so if this is 86, this is 88. So 88.5 will be right after that. There's my median. Make another big hash mark right there. Q3 is at 93. So this is 92. So 93 will be halfway here. Let me give another big hit there at the end of my box. I'm going to stop right there. Let's go ahead and close the box in. This is my box. That's my middle 50%. I'm going to connect this whisker. So there's the first 75% of my data. But that maximum, I'm not going to draw out, and don't draw this, I'm just going to show you. If I were to draw a regular box plot, I would put a little hash mark at 111, because that's the maximum, and I would connect this whisker, and this is what it would look like. Okay, that would be a regular box plot, but we're making a modified box plot. So I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go only to the highest number that's not an outlier, which is this 95. I'm going to put the hash mark right there. Okay, so find 95, which is halfway here. I'm going to put my hash mark right there, and I'm going to finish my whisker. Okay. 95, remember, was the highest score that was not an outlier. What did we say about the two numbers that are above that? Those are outliers, right? We proved that in the previous on question number 7, right?
Mhm.
Okay. So now we're going to stop the box plot at 95, which is the highest number. That's not an outlier. But we can't forget about the outliers. So what are the numbers for the outliers again? 108 and 111, right? So at 108, I'm going to go all the way over here. This is 108. I'm going to put a little dot. I like stars because they're nice and big. You can see them. I'm going to put a star right there. There's an outlier. And 111 was the other one? So I'm going to put another star on 111. There's an outlier. And it shows you 2 outliers. So this is what a modified box plot looks like with the outliers. Want to see something cool too? I didn't show this to the class earlier, but since there's more of you in here with your calculators, do this. Go to your calculator. I don't know if this will work for the app at home. This is why I didn't show it to you guys, but I'll just show you guys that are here in class. Now that you have your calculator, press second, y equals. See where it says plot 1? Hit enter on that. And then make sure you hit enter on. Right now it's off and it needs to be on. Okay. Scroll down to type. And the 4th one is the modified box plot. You can tell that it's a little box plot with a little outliers on it. So you're going to scroll over to the 4th one and hit enter so it highlights that modified box plot. Okay. So you're going to highlight that one, make sure you hit enter on it so it's there. Everything you leave the same and press zoom. The zoom button is at the top and then press 9. Does your box plot look like the one that's on the screen? Yeah, right? I want to know something even cooler? Press trace. Press the trace button. Now scroll back and forth. It tells you the numbers at the bottom. Pretty cool, right? Okay. Another way to for those of you in class, that's a way to check your work. Guys at home, maybe Mia, you can test it out. I don't know if that feature is available for that calculate 84. Okay. I don't know if that's available there. But it's just a cool feature. Nine.
It's just like use this.
You could, yes. But okay. I got to teach you this way because the majority of you guys are at home, okay. not in school, unfortunately. If we were all in school, we would be 100% doing it this way. Okay.
The phone calculator?
I don't know. Can you guys? If somebody could test it out for me, that would be great. Okay. Just press trace and scroll left and right. Yeah. Yeah, you have to put numbers in there. Well, so let's do this. Let's finish this page, and then I'll let you guys test it out. You guys want to finish this page? Yeah, I wanted to finish this page here. Actually, you guys finish it on your own, and we'll talk about it on Wednesday. Go ahead and finish page. You can finish page 2. Because it'll have you guys finish page 2 right now because it has you take out those 2 outliers from the thing. So go to stat and edit and just delete the 2 outliers and redo the 5-number summary and the range and interquartile range. Hold on. Yeah, go.
Just delete the 2 outliers.
Yep. So if you highlight it and you press the delete button, so press delete there and delete there, and then redo the 5-number summary.
That's the plot, right?
Mm-hmm. The stat calc. Or you can, yeah, but you're not redrawing it, so you're just going to redo the 5-number summary. I guess you might as well just finish it right now.
Just write down the numbers.
Yeah, let's just go ahead and finish it because it'll just take a second. So 79 is still the minimum. This is if we take out the outliers. Q1 is 83. Median's 87.5.
Oh no, it doesn't look like it works.
It doesn't?
Wait, yeah, it does work. It just it doesn't show the actual plot. Like the numbers show up, but not the actual plot.
Yeah. Once you have the new 5-number summary, it should be pretty easy to find the new range and the new interquartile range. Is that 16?
But how do you do it? You have to read like the whole thing.
No, you could just highlight the L1 and hit clear enter.
Oh, but it starts at the morning.
Yeah. So last thing I'll talk about before I let you guys work on your own. So check this out. And I already did this part for you, so even if you hadn't gotten to it yet, Draven, y'all here, y'all. Let me get your attention for this just a second. So I took those two outliers out, and can't really tell from the 5-number summary, but look what happened to the range and the interquartile range. The range before was 32. Now it's only 16. Okay, I took the outliers out. The range dropped a lot. How much did the IQR change?
By like 1.5.
Only by 1.5. The IQR didn't change very much. So even if you don't write this down right now, answer this question. Which measure of spread is resistant to outliers? The range or the IQR? Which one did not change very much because of by getting rid of the outliers? The IQR. The IQR is resistant to outliers, just like median is resistant to outliers compared to the mean. Remember we were talking about how the rich people in Westlake, they bring up the average. They're outliers. They will bring up the average, the mean, quite a bit. The median resists the outliers. Just like that, right here, the IQR resists outliers. It's just that middle 50% of data. The range will be severely affected by outliers, especially in this particular case. And we can see how the range changes just on this screen right here. The range only goes from here to here without the outliers, but it goes all the way from here to here with the outliers. Okay. So